Well, let's see how this is going to work. I'll have to fix the background here. This office is stacked and packed with my life. Well, Harold, I'm going to try and see if this is working. I'm not so sure how it all fits together, and apparently there's. But let's see. I must say, I really appreciate your support. Well, obviously I'll have to do some. I'll have to do something about the background here. This office is actually a mess. But although I'm a very organized guy in certain aspects of my life, my table, ugh, I believe in the thing of a tidy mind is a tiny mind. Hello, Alberto. Nice to see you. I'm trying this live thing. I don't know how it's going to work. The Cape Baldy. How's that? Yeah. And this is the custom YouTube software. So I believe that there are more professional software available, and I'll investigate that. But I just wanted to check and see if I can do this live thing. For a start, this must go. There in the background, you can see that little car standing there. That's one of my hobbies. I build these RC models. You get that thing. I did this one last week. My wife had a similar model like this when we were youngsters at varsity, and I liked it. I just did a custom paint job on it. But this gives me a lot of pleasure making these, building these models. I've been building models since the 70s. Actually started before that, but I've done some serious boats, some serious airplanes, and I've done a lot of RCs. What I'm curious about, how's the quality of the sound and what's the image quality like? Can you tell me? I'll have to figure out how this software actually works. And thanks, Jacqueline. If you say it's okay, what do you mean by okay? Can you tolerate it, or is it bad, or I'm not so sure. I've got some fancy cameras and stuff, but I'm reluctant to hook them up to the computer because there's a lot of software issues with it. And then the other big problem with the Canon cameras is that the video part is limited, I think, to 25 minutes or something like that, so that they're not classified as movie cameras. Okay, dankie. Net so lank jy kan sien. Thank you, Harold. I appreciate that feedback. Something that is making it difficult for me in this on this channel is that I have to juggle between English and Afrikaans. And if I look at the YouTube stats for the channel at this point in time, the vast majority of my supporters are from South Africa, so obviously they are comfortable in English and in Afrikaans. And but I have to keep in mind that I don't exclude the people that cannot speak Afrikaans when I do the serious topics. This last few days was quite interesting for me. I have fallen a little bit behind on some of the news items because the stuff that I'm getting is lots and lots and lots. As I'm sitting here, I've just completed the Briekmerke that I'm going to upload now, and then I have to look at my stock that I've got. There's 180 items that I haven't handled yet, and I've got another about 100 sitting in the inbox. So I'll have to take a good look at that. Something that we guys must really keep in mind the world that we knew, and I'm talking about the people of my age, the world that we knew is changing right in front of our eyes. What is happening currently in Europe, in my wildest dreams, I have never imagined it to happen like it's happening now. Europe is falling apart. And I am quite flabbergasted by the fact that the European citizens, it seems to me that they're sleepwalking. Those cretins sitting in Brussels has been dumping them into a shit bucket, man. And it was all by choice. Now they're trying to make as if it's the Russians that are weaponizing the gas and Russia is weaponizing this and that and all of that. The fact of the matter is they started this sanction war. And if you go back and you look in my channel, I've handled it right in the beginning. I said that these sanctions are going to backfire. And it's going to be a brutal experience. And I don't think that the Europeans in their wildest dreams thought that it would go this way. They thought that Russia is going to capitulate. But as with all of the things, and for me, the big problem is this, and that is that we, as the guys of my generation, we have been brainwashed about Russia being the Satan and all of that. And there's not really realistic and good information about Russia. And there's people that say, oh, Russian economy is the size of this town or that little state or that and that. They don't really know. They don't really know what is going on in Russia. And I was super surprised when they started the sanction war. Because if you look at the facts objectively, Europe, and especially Germany, is basically, they are what they are because of the cheap Russian energy they had. And they did try a lot of alternatives. But every time they came back and realized that if they go and take alternative routes, the German industry will not be competitive in the world because the energy costs will be too high for them. And when they started this sanction thing, it didn't make sense to me. I'm a guy that I'm almost a fanatical analyst, and everything in my life is sectioned in little boxes. And I am brutally honest when I analyze. I've done part of my career, I was a business analyst. And yes, many of the clients that I had, when I walk out there and I bring my report back, they hate me because I don't pull punches. It doesn't help anybody if you lie. If you analyze, you must be honest and you must stick to it. And as long as you can support your findings with facts, then that's what it is. The facts is the facts and nobody can change it. And, you know, there are so many things that has gone wrong in our lives because of this nonsense of trying to be politically correct. And politically correct has become just another word for lying through your teeth. And people cannot eat lies. And with the dependence that the European economy had on the Russian gas, who thought it was a clever plan to cut themselves off? They committed basically suicide. And in the end, the citizens are going to pay for it. We are looking at the people that are telling you that the guys are going to freeze and they're going to have a hard time. to survive through the winter. The bottom line is the industries are going to close down. I read an article yesterday, and 8 out of 10 British factories are most probably going to close. What the hell are going to happen in those countries with all those people that going to lose their jobs? They're going to find themselves in a position that they will have nothing. Like Schwab said, you'll have nothing and you'll be happy. Fuck him. Nobody's going to be happy to have nothing. And the reality is that in the end, the guys has to feed their families. They have to provide shelter. They have to provide heat. And they don't have it. I think the protest that we saw over the weekend is just the beginning of it. And as Garland Nixon said in that one stream of his, you know, they're going to stand there and they're going to scream at those politicians, and the politicians are going to give them a lot of answers, bullshit answers, and they will most probably take it and go away, and the next day they're back. And then one day, there right at the back of the crowd, somebody is going to say, get a rope. And the next guy is going to say, and the next guy is going to say, and before you know it, we're going to see politicians in deep shit in Europe. Those people will find out what happened in the French Revolution. The thing that is for me very disturbing and reality is that with all those immigrants that are now in Europe, the European nations have had long history of civilization. And they have learned over generations how to handle and manage anger and things like that. But those migrants there, they're coming from countries that are brutal. And you must forgive me if I use the word, but there's no other word, because the fact of the matter is, those immigrants are not hundreds of years away from brutal barbarism. And when things go wrong, they go for violence. And you can see it here all over Africa. When there are riots, they burn and break and murder and kill. And that is what happens. En ja, kyk, Jacqueline, as ek in Afrikaans lostrek, dan kan jy verstaan hoe ek gebruik foks soos leestekens. As jy my nou regtig in die gang wil kry, dan is dit hierdie kanaal beslis nie vir die met sagte oortjies nie. Alberto, me and you can have a long talk about Nikon and Canon. I've been in the photography game since 1970. I started off with Pentax. But the reality is this. If you look at Canon is, they make equipment that are in many instances better than Nikon. And at the least, they're on par. But look at the price difference between the equipment, and especially when you get to the lenses. Canon has got a large range and collection of consumer lenses. Yes, they have got their very expensive L-type lenses. Those are the ones with a little red ring around the filter and so. But the fact of the matter is, if you're not a professional, where you've got a job that is paying for your equipment, and you've got to pay for your equipment out of your own pocket. So you're a serious, how can we say, a serious, committed amateur photographer, not a professional. the best option is Canon, simply for the fact that there is a vast range of lenses that are of consumer quality, which is good enough for a serious amateur, but at extremely affordable prices. The Canon lenses are horrifically expensive. I had a Nikon, and I had when I was in the in the old days with the SLRs, and I used it for specific applications. But the fact of the matter is that the lenses is extremely expensive. But in any case, this was a nice test, and thank you for enduring it. And I appreciate the feedback. And I'll work a bit on the background here, and then maybe get to a point where we can do a regular live stream. But at this point in time, I'm fairly happy with what I am seeing. And from the feedback that I got from you guys, it is acceptable. And you can shoot me with some questions, things that you would like me to respond to. I will have to figure out how you do it when they share screenshots and things like that. I don't know if the YouTube software can actually do it. I have seen many of the guys are using a thing called StreamYard, but I'll look at that. But for now, I just wanted to get to this. So, here in South Africa, it's a nice day. Summer is on its way. And yesterday was, the day before yesterday was very hot. Yesterday was cold again. Today is nice. I am wondering how the Europeans are going to get themselves out of this mess. My personal opinion, and I have said it in my Skidmarks, they've got to get rid of that political elite. Those people are, when I was a young guy, politicians, I can remember, they were farmers and businessmen, and so they went for a 4-year stint to Parliament, and while they're there, they did the things to make the lives of their communities better and so forth. And after 4 years, they came back and went back on with their lives. But then during the late 80s, this species started evolving of professional politicians. For fuck's sake, you get guys here. Look at that van der Crazy, as Alex says. That woman's made a moorse mess up of the German defense. She was the Minister of Defense, and they shipped her off to Brussels, and now she managed to fuck up the whole EU. What life experiences have. And I saw a clip yesterday. Yes, it is listen, it is insane salaries that they get. 348,000 euros a year. That's why they're happy. They're not concerned. The price of bread and price of fuel is not that's nothing to them. It's not important to them. And they don't care. But the people working for salaries, and what is happening in England, Liz Truss, now the Prime Minister, what real life experiences does she have to bring to that country? How will she cope steering that country out of the crisis? No, these politicians, they don't have any real life experiences. And I saw an article, and I used it in one of my Skidmarks. 62% of the people in Biden's, what do you call it? What can we call it? in the economic division or the economic cluster of these, has got zero experience of anything in the economy. And they sit there and they've got all these, we call it tree climbing degrees, humanities and politics and cuck like that. Useless qualifications. Today in Europe, they need the people in charge there that are economic literate, people that has got a real experience. But the fact of the matter is, at this point in time, the people that are supposed to manage the West out of this shit stream in which they dived into and plunged into, those people has got no practical experience of life. And I mean, I cannot understand it. This is going to turn out horrible for the West. If you look at the leadership in Russia, it's professional people there. And well, let's see where this goes. Oh, I see I've got Stanley from Russia. Welcome. Yeah, I'm an Afrikaner. I'm sitting here in Nelspruit, but in my heart, I don't know, I must go and do a DNA checkup. Maybe I've got some Russian blood in me, because I've got a great respect and appreciation for the Russian people. But maybe because I can understand what it is to be discriminated against and to be hated. And we've got politicians here in my country that are at gatherings chanting, kill the boer, kill the farmer. So they want to kill me. And when you corner them about it, they say, no, they don't mean it literally. What shit is that? And I was extremely anti-Russian. Right in February, when that thing started in Ukraine, I was automatically on the side of Zelensky and his Nazis. And then a journalist pointed me into the Donbass direction. And I started investigating. And the more I read and the more I saw, the more I realized what the hell is going on there. And I can understand that Putin reached the decision to jump in there, because those Ukrainians, they had a plan to kill off the people in the Donbass. And my attitude changed a lot. And for me in South Africa, my family and a lot of people that I know, they can't understand. They think I'm crazy because I don't have this negative opinion about the Russians. And I've done a few Briekmerke and a few Skidmarks trying to explain the position and so forth. And I must say, I can see that there are more and more and more South Africans, especially I'm talking now about the white Afrikaners, that are beginning to realize that Putin is not the Satan in this movie. But what I can't understand is how the Western leadership expect their citizens to appreciate the fact that their tax money is invested into a Zazi regime. I don't know, but I think quite obviously it's ignorance. Yes, Stanley, that is something that is very disturbing. And the thing that makes me angry is the fact that the West and America, through sanctions, they force us to become democratic, as they call it, the fucking idiots. And that democracy has brought horror to South Africa. This ANC has destroyed this country, and they have stolen billions of rands, and it is total chaos. And where are the West now? Gone. They did the same to Zimbabwe, old Rhodesia. They did exactly the same there. They did the same in Libya. They did the same in Iraq. They did the same, and they're busy with the same shit in Syria. And I personally have got a very, very, very serious commitment to support President Putin in what he is doing. Because this West, especially America, they are nothing more than global terrorists. That's what they are. They are global terrorists. And what makes me very angry is where the fuck do they get the right to dictate to Venezuela where and how they can sell their oil? And the Venezuela people are suffering under that. The same with Iran. So they put the sanctions on these countries and they don't give a shit about how the people, the citizens of those countries suffer. Look at the atrocities in Yemen. What is going on in Yemen? That is not right. And who's the big players there? The West. They are empowering Saudi to do the things that they're doing there. And look at those poor children there. They are suffering. And then the West has got the damn audacity to steal the Yemeni oil on the seas, steal the tankers. I just hope between Russia and China that they will beat this warmongering West into a corner and tell them to really start acting responsibly. I don't, yeah, I've put a few of my things on Rumble. I can understand, because once the fact of the matter is people that talk like me is not welcome in this world. But in the meantime, I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm trying to get the channel to grow, and it's growing, but it's growing slowly. I am trying to figure out why, but in the meantime, I'm doing my things. And it is important for me that you guys give me feedback on what I do. If you like the formats, or if you want to see something different. Currently, what I'm doing is I do those this and that and what the fuck episodes where I handle between 25 and 30 little news snippets. But at stages, I also do programs where I focus on specific topics. Yes, Stanley, that is something that really worries me and bothers me. And something that is that I notice on the channels that I follow is that there is a movement starting in America that is not happy about that. The thing is that for me, I always thought that anything in the lines of public revolt in America is something that will never happen. But with what is happening there the past 2-3 months, and then with that raid of Trump's home and things of like, there is a section in the American society that are beginning to say, listen, we have to take this political elite, we'll have to take them out physically. And in the end, can you imagine something like a civil war in America. That's going to be ugly. Yeah, Stanley, look, the thing is this. If you look at my Skidmarks, you will see that I've got a little topic in there that I handle and I love, and it's a petty topic for me, a pet topic for me, and that's what I call the global revolution. That global revolution is happening, and what is, for me, absolutely stunning is the pace at which it is happening. If you take in consideration from February to now, what has changed? Russia has already provided an alternative to SWIFT. The Russian meerkats are beginning to spread into the BRICS countries and so forth. So they managed to bring an alternative to the world for SWIFT and for an alternative to the MasterCard and Visa monopoly. Okay, it is slow, it will take time, but fortunately technology is on their side at this point in time. Something like their meerkats can spread into the globe very quickly. I am curious, I wonder if the South African Reserve Bank and the banking circles is looking at the meerkats, because if the meerkats are working in South Africa, I'm sure our country will get a lot of tourists from Russia. And then the other thing is the fact that it is now becoming more and more acceptable for countries to trade with one another in their own currencies. And that is going to butcher the dollar. Because the fact of the matter is, through SWIFT, the West could cut countries out of the commercial world. And now there's an alternative. And you must take in consideration, Gaddafi promoted an alternative to the dollar. And look what happened to him. They ruined his country and they killed him. Saddam said he doesn't want dollars, he wants euros for his oil. Look what happened to Iraq. Now with Russia, the Americans and NATO has got a specific problem. Russia can shoot back. So they can't just go in there and bomb Russia back into the Stone Age. And now they're sitting and they don't know what to do. I read an article right in the beginning in February about the petrodollar. And then the guy that wrote the article was of the opinion that it can take 5 to 10 years for that to really become effective. And if you look at what's happening today, that 10 or 15 years was a bullshit story. I have got an opinion that by this time next year, the petrodollar will be history, especially now with Saudi that wants to become a BRIC member. And Saudi is already trading with Russia with rubles and not with dollars. And Saudi is doing the same. The same is busy taking shape between Saudi and China. And the thing that the Western world, they forget it so quickly. The so-called West, they just touch onto 1 billion citizens out of rough 8 billion in the world. So there's 7 billion that is not in the West. And another thing that I think the West got caught with their pants down was the fact that economies like China, like Russia, like India, these economies were growing, but it was not noticed by the West. The one that was noticed by the West was China, but they didn't pay attention to the realities around that. And I saw yesterday that India has overtaken the UK for the number 5 spot. UK is now number 6. Now, guys, the Western world, the best option for them is they must get onto a plane, fly to Moscow, sit in front of President Putin and say, sorry, we fucked up. How can we fix this? And then shut up and listen. Because they're not going to fight themselves out of this corner. If they fight, they're going to have bigger problems than what they have already. Yes, Stanley, I agree. I saw an article, it's in one of my Skidmarks, about the meerkat, that Angola is now considering it to get the meerkat operational there. And something that intrigued me, and I'm not so sure how it's working, is that I think it's Union Pay is the one that is working and operating in China. When Visa and MasterCard pulled out of Russia, those Union Pay was there in quick, but then it died. I don't know why. But China is also finding themselves in a fairly difficult position. America is a big trading partner of China, and China is, I think they are careful not to land into the position where the Russians are with the sanctions, but another thing that we must watch out for, I read an article about it yesterday, and that is that the Kremlin is currently considering cryptocurrency as part of the payment systems, because the guy that talked about it said, with the cryptocurrencies, cross-border trading is very quick and very efficient. Now, can you just imagine Russia embraces crypto, not a centralized digital currency, crypto as it is there, Bitcoin and Ethereum and those things. Guys, that is the world that we will be able to live in. This Western plans for us, this WEF plans for us, they've got plans to wipe us out. But they've got a problem. All the guys that they had jabbed and that so sheepishly held out their arms to take the shots and that, it looks like those people are falling over the cliff now. And in 3-4 years' time, this WEF is going to sit with a population that is left of, as we say in Afrikaans, real harde gatouwens, guys that didn't take the shots and guys that think for themselves. And then they're going to have their hands full. But it is sinister if you look at what's happening in the food production, if you see how the farms are being destroyed, food plants being destroyed. That makes me very nervous. They are planning a massive global famine. That is what they are planning. But then again, we allowed them to do that. You guys must understand one of the big things about the dollar. Now, part of the arrangement that America had with Saudi was that the Saudis will sell their oil for dollars and they will invest their profits in treasury bonds in the US. And that is how a lot of the money was accumulated in the US. But what they did when they started stealing Russia's foreign assets, They opened the eyes of a lot of countries. Countries are looking at this shit and say, hey, if they can steal Russia's money, they can steal ours too. And I think, and I haven't seen any figures for it, but I'm sure there's a lot of countries that are very quietly moving their foreign assets out of dollars because they are scared that the Americans will grab it. And what is crazy is that the American Treasury initially warned the Biden shithouse crowd, don't touch the foreign assets. Don't do it. If you do it, you will do a lot of damage to the reputation of our banking system. But as per usual, those politicians said, fuck off, we'll do it. Let's see. And they did it. And now they've got a problem. They've got a serious problem. And now they're stealing private Russian citizens' assets. How can they justify that? Yeah. Stealing private people, stealing their houses that they've got in other countries, stealing their yachts, stealing their planes, stealing their money in the banks. What has the West become? They are pirates. They are pirates. And that's what they are. The other thing that I have spoken about in my Skidmarks already many times is I want to know why the hell is the West willing to bankrupt themselves and disarm themselves to protect Ukraine? What the fuck are they hiding there? Yes, Stanley, I use Telegram. I get most of my information I get out of Telegram because the thing that the media, mainstream media, you can't trust them. So I do get a lot of my information from Telegram. Unfortunately, there are channels on Telegram that I can't use because the guys are talking in Russian and things like that. But yes, I do that. Yeah, as far as BRICS is concerned, the BRICS Plus plan must make the West shiver. Because just imagine with Saudi going into BRICS, Algeria going into BRICS, Turkey go into BRICS, Kazakhstan go into BRICS, Vietnam, North Vietnam go into BRICS. The West hasn't got a chance. Not a chance in hell. Their days are numbered. And I'm telling you again, I'm saying it again. The best option for the West is to go to Moscow and say, sorry, we want to fix this shit. But they're so arrogant, they won't do it. They were talking, and this is the last one I wanted to talk about. They were making a lot of noises about nuclear arms, and trying to put it onto Russia. And then what did Russia do 2 weekends ago? Chip, burn them with 2 of that Kinshal missiles. And what was the message there? When that second one exploded, within an hour apparently, there was an emergency meeting in Brussels of the NATO top command. And I think the message that Russia was sending to them there is say, listen, guys, we don't need nuclear weapons to fuck you up. Look at this. And those Kinshals said, suck. Yeah, I read a little post on Telegram where a guy was saying that apparently the NATO observers post in Poland, they were shocked. The moment they saw the blips on their screens was the moment that those things exploded. So they had about 0.0001 second of observing, and then it was over. So how the fuck are they going to do anything to protect themselves against those things? And I have said it many times. What if the Russians decide, listen, this shit has gone too far now? And it says how that wham, and it sends about 10 or 12 of those skin shells into Europe and hit all those big army bases. All those big army bases, hit them. And hit the NATO headquarters in Brussels. Within seconds, it's over. And then they come out with a statement and say, okay, take note. That was a warning shot. What will the West do then? I don't know. Thank you, Stanley. Have a great day out there in Russia. And I'm glad I could see you here on the channel. To me, you don't know what it means to me. And yeah, I think we are living in really interesting times, and the world map is going to change. Not the map physically. The alliances are changing. And it is interesting for me to see how Africa is gravitating towards Russia, South America gravitating towards Russia. That must make the Americans think. They must stop with their shit and think. You know, I Skidmark yesterday, there's a map of the American bases around the world. It is shocking. What the fuck are they doing there? They're everywhere. They are nothing more, nothing less than global terrorists. And now the things that we see coming out from Syria, how they're stealing the Syrian oil. We know they're stealing the Yemeni oil. Now they're stealing the Syrian oil. Guys, this must stop. In any case, thank you all. It was great chatting here, and I will get better with this. And have a great day.